Good morning, everyone.
So yeah, you notice that that's currently being worked on, right? So the two videos uploaded are actually the same video for Thursday session. So we've notified doing assigning that. So hopefully before the end of today, should be rectified. Yeah. So how are you guys doing now? How is the weekend going?
At college, your voice is a bit down today. I don't know. Can you please?
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. So I said we notified what you call doing attention to what you pointed out. So she said they are currently working on it. So hopefully before the end of maybe before noon or before the end of today at most, the afternoon session video should be uploaded. So, so how you
All
guys
right,
doing?
thank you,
How you
for
doing?
that.
How you doing? What's happening? What's trend? Why are we just 15 here? We're supposed to be 20 something. Why are we just 15?
Today is Saturday now, so
Oh, today is Saturday. Okay. All right. So, oh, I like keeps piling up, sure. Keeps piling up. And then someone will come and remind me next week of how they are still struggling with week one challenge. All right, I won't answer you, sure. So what's up? What's the news? What's the gist? What's happening with my assignments and my projects? What's happening? What's happening? How far have you guys gone? What challenges are you having? Let's talk.
actually, from our side, I know you know the tax is really a hard one. You know it. But nevertheless, we're still trying to fix it. It's a problem that needs to be solved. We're really working hard to solve it. It's actually a big task, you know too. So, but we need to do it so we can be able to tackle major problems ahead of us. That's from my own point of view.
Why are you forcing the on me? I don't know anything. You're trying to you're trying to
Why I'm saying is you actually know that the
I don't know the
problems
task
is
is hard.
you actually
I
know
don't know
the problem
anything.
are very hard
I
for
don't know
new beginners
anything.
like us. You know it. So that's what I'm saying
Is it your
know,
network or is my network?
you know it's a task, it's a hard one. But I think
I have to do my own. I don't know anything.
Module 2.
Anything. Yeah. So how is it going? How is it going like with the project? How is it going? I know this week has been very easy. This week, the assignments this week have been very easy. So you guys should be able to, shouldn't be too difficult now. So it's just the project, right? It's just the project that is causing wahala, Abi. Eh?
At this point, I cannot say because I've not seen anything.
You've not seen anything. What do you mean by that?
Are you asking for the assignment from module 2, lesson 2, or module 1 lesson, that one that we had to do the tiny project for 1 and 2, chapter 1 and 2?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for.
Oh, that one for chapter 1 and 2, that one has already been done and submitted. It wasn't really that hard if you follow the instructions that Tiny Python gave you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Please,
What's who said who made the last comment? Sorry.
Tina.
Okay. Zainab. Tina, I can't see any Tina on my screen. Is your name Tina here? Huh? What name did you use on your avatar?
Yeah, today. I have tried to
Oh,
change it, but it's not changing. Like that's the name I used to register it.
okay, AB. So AB, you submitted the project for chapter 1 and 2, right?
Yes, I am.
And you didn't find it difficult, right?
No, I followed each of the process. How we did it in his own, how do I put it? How we did it in the book. I just followed the process. If I come to a block, I go to the beginning again and I check where I'm having issues. So I just continued like that.
Okay.
Anything that feels
So
like
like, the book is like, it was well detailed, right?
yeah, it was detailed. For me though, it was detailed. I'm looking forward to working on chapter 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's your project. You can start working on it already. That's your project for week 2.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for this feedback. Yeah, thank you for the feedback. So the rest of you,
Please, I have something to say as regards that
all right, yeah, Bukala. All right, yeah, Bukala, go ahead.
Okay, the first thing that personally I did was just to clone the book, right? But you said we don't have to clone the book, we have to create our own tiny book project, right? Following the instruction.
You
Okay.
can clone. I said no, relax. Before you go ahead, I said you can clone the book, right? You can clone the book because there are some codes you're going to copy. You don't need to write those codes on your own. You're just going to copy those codes, right?
Okay.
And paste them in your
What I did
own
was
direction.
I had the clone copy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I had the clone copy in one folder, and I started doing my own in another folder. But the challenge I have when I got to that place that I was able to do the first LO1, the second LO2. So I moved to test. I did not do the shebang, so I moved to the test part. Then I started seeing I sat out the strip, blah 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 blah. And then I started googling about there has to be a minute to ASAT, there has to be a minute to how to do strip and all that. And then I realized like it's more like an advanced programming, like because for me, my strong point is not just copying.
Relax. Were you writing the test? I didn't ask you to write test too. You're just supposed to run the test. You're supposed to copy the test script and paste it in your copy the test script from the author's
yes,
repository.
and paste to our own.
Copy it and paste it, then just run PyTest. If you follow the Hello World program very well, your script is going to pass the 5 tests that are in the test script. Don't bother about writing the tests. That's not for you.
When I passed it, I was having 5 failures. So I wanted to understand how everything can be successful. That's what I was trying to do. When I use my
you were having 5 failures because you didn't follow the instruction very well. If you follow the instruction very well in the book, you won't have 5 failures. You're going to have 5 passes. I know what I'm saying. If you want now, I'll ask you to share your screen. That you're going to do it, and you're going to see that you're going to have 5 passes. Right?
Can I say
so you need to go back and look at what you're doing.
Okay.
So you need to go back. You need to go back to the book. Go back to the instructions in the book. You may not really do all those shebang stuff, all those Python, making your script executive. You may not really do all those parts, but I don't know if the author says you should do them. You should just do them for the sake of the knowledge, right? But if you're supposed to have 5, in fact, as part of your submission, you're supposed to screenshot the 5. You're supposed to screenshot and send to me that your script passed the 5 tests, right? That your script passed all the tests. So it's supposed to be part of a screenshot that you're going to upload.
Yes. I even watched video. I don't know. I don't mind if I can share my screen at this point because I don't want to look stupid.
Your assignment, you're not looking stupid. That's just how it is. You just need to figure it out. There should be maybe 1 or 2. Yeah, did you install PyTest? Are you running?
Yes, I have PyTest. I have PyTest on my. That's how I was able to see that the stuff is.
Did you copy the test? Did you copy the test script? Yes,
I copied from the author's own. I created my own.
Your directory structure, your folder structure, is it the same as the author's folder structure?
Yes, it's the same.
if you say yes to all these things, and I say you should share your screen, and then I now realize that you're not doing something correct, what are we not going to, what is not going to happen? Because that will mean I'm doing your assignment for you.
I'm not
I
saying
want you
you.
to
I don't
figure
even
it
want you
out.
to do it
Other
for
people
me.
are figuring it out. I want you to figure it. I know you can figure it out. I just feel like maybe there's a gap in knowledge somewhere. Maybe there's somewhere you skipped in the book.
I know there's
Yeah,
knowledge
yeah,
gap
that's what I
somewhere,
feel.
but it is well. Okay.
Figure it out. Just try to figure it out today. Then maybe if you're still having a hard time at the end of the day, then you can reach out to one of your colleagues, maybe AB, and then explain your scenario to her, then see what you guys can come up with. Then if the both of you still can't figure it out, then maybe you reach out to me. But the reason why I'm saying this is that I've not started marking any assignments or projects. I've not started evaluating any of them. And I'm supposed to start doing that today or tomorrow, right? I'm supposed to round up with that today or tomorrow as well. So you guys should just do what you need to do. Have a session with your colleague. Make sure you've had a session with one of your colleagues before you reach out to me. It is when you and your colleagues can't figure it out that you should reach out to me. So that's to foster the spirit of collaboration, because in this field, you will never work alone, right? You never work alone, you always work in pairs. So so reach out to one of your colleagues, maybe Temitope, maybe AB, maybe
Okay, please, Tina, were you able to get 5 socks? Like, was it successful from your hand, the 5? So that I'll know to reach out to you. Okay, thank you. I'll reach out to you then.
So, all right.
Please, who are we reaching out to, please? So that I can follow you.
Sorry, if I send a screenshot, where are we sending the screenshots? Because I already submitted my link for.
You can just add it. You can just add it to that your GitHub repository now. I'll just add the image. You get just add the image, right? Okay. Add the image and then push it. Then commit it. Then push it. It should reflect on your GitHub repository.
Thank you.
All right. So, Kafayat, if I've settled your case, please bring your hands down. AB, do you have any other thing to say? Bring your hands down. Sorry, Bukola. Okay, yeah, Bukola, bring your hands down. Kafayat, so what do you have to say?
Good morning, Mr. Ifeanyi.
Yeah, good morning.
In respect to the test, the test is only showing me one successful stuff as one pass. That is, test exists. I was unable to run the test. It's showing me on read or unrunnable, on unexecutable, and one other thing like that. So I'm having 4 errors. That is 4 failed, then 1 pass. And I've consulted Eniola. She said she's only having the same issue.
She said she's having the same issue.
Yes, that should not get it that word, that maybe we should throw the.
Your network is actually bad. I can't hear you clearly. Are you there?
Question.
Is it my network or can anybody hear Kafaya?
Hello, can you hear me now?
I am sorry, I've not been feeling fine. That's why I've not been responding. I'm just back from the hospital. I heard my name. I would respond.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry about that.
Sorry, Eniola. Wish you quick recovery.
Take your time, please. Don't overdo it. Right. So so reach out to your colleagues. Everything you need for that thing to work is in that book, right? I may not remember the book verbatim, but I know I've implemented. I think I've implemented up to chapter 10 or so in that book. So yeah, the book is actually very beginner friendly, although initially you need to wrap your head around some things properly. If I evaluate what most of you are doing, I'll still get to find out that the problem is actually from you. So that's why I don't want to go that route. I want you guys to come in your numbers. So we are going to trash it at once. So the other day you were here on the call when someone was complaining, and then you worked on it, and right there in class, you worked. And I asked all of you, have you seen it? Is it working? You said yes, it's working. Okay. Now you're coming back to say it's not working. That's just the beauty of our field, right? That's just you may not call it beauty, but that's just the beauty of the field. That's just how it is, right? So don't overthink it. Just look for a solution. Look at what you're doing. There's definitely, for it not to work. Now there's a saying that there's nothing wrong with the code, right? There's nothing wrong with your computer. It's just you that don't know what you're writing. Like there's a way they say that like your code is not your the computer is not to be blamed if your code is not working. If it's not working, it means there's something you're not doing right. You don't blame the computer, right? So yeah. So read the book thoroughly. Reach out to your peers. You maybe today after today's session, you guys can have like a session on your own where one person gets to share their screen and then everybody gets to see what's happening. And then if you guys still don't figure it out at that point, well, first of all, the person that is doing whatever should make sure that they have their environment set up, they have everything set up. If you are still having set up issues at this point, I'm sorry, yeah, you're actually on your own, right? On your own, because this is 2 weeks. We've been hammering on setup for the past 2 weeks. So it should just be like maybe like laziness on your own part. So which you need to buckle up on. So whoever is reaching out to anybody, don't waste your colleagues' time. Make sure you have your setup, you have everything. Let it be like your code that is not running. Then we can look for solutions from there. So once you reach out to your colleague and then you guys are still having the issues, then maybe I may give you grace. If I start marking, I may give you grace to like maybe this evening. Then you guys can call me your numbers, reach out to me, then we'll figure it out for one person and then the rest of you will take it up from there. Is that clear? Do you have an agreement? Everything I said now, does it make sense? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. At least I can.
All right.
Hear you.
Awonike, do you have something to say?
Good morning. So I want to ask like about the submission and all. It's just the LOPI that we're meant to submit, the LOPI chapter, just the LOPI and the CRONES, then you send a screenshot of your test being passed. The whole comments, the whole prints, everything, you should just implement it to the LOPI and ensure that your test is being passed, then screenshot it. Is that okay for the submission? Just your LOPI program and your screenshot into GitHub.
Yes, submit. See what you're going to do. Once you have your program running and it is passing the 5 tests, right? Once you run the 5 tests and then you get past 5 tests, screenshot that output. Add that screenshot image to your repository, right? Just add it there. Then push the entire repository to GitHub. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Push it. It should be inside your 01 hello folder. Then push it there. So do the same thing for 02 for your 02 folder. Then push it also. So I want to see that. Your 5 tests are passing. So
just the program. So just the program and your screenshot that it's passed everything.
Push both your tests. Push the entire project. Push the entire project for your chapter 1. Push the entire project to GitHub. Just add the screenshot to it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. So just add the screenshot to it. Add it as like an extra file. I want to see that the test is passing. Because normally what I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to download your repository and then test it on my system. Or I won't be going that route. I just want to see that it is working on your system, right?
Okay.
So just push your entire project, but then I'm saying you should just add like a screenshot of your tests, of your past tests.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, because that's just what I did. Like the whole steps, I implemented it to the LOPI program. So it was only the LOPI that I pushed out to GitHub. But since you want the test, then I should just add the test to it.
Yeah. If you run your test, is your test, are your tests passing? Are your tests passing?
Yes, the tests are passing.
Oh, so you're another person they should reach out to. So your tests are passing, they should be reaching out to you too as well. So yeah, you guys should reach out to Eniola, to Awonike as well. Reach out to Awonike. So in your session, maybe you're going to have a session later. Maybe Awonike should be on the call. Eniola should be on the call. Who else? Person that spoke before Eniola. Temitope should also be on the call. Yeah, so that they will just like I want you guys to foster that spirit of collaboration, right? So any other person, and that should be done today. Right? Should be done today. All these things should be done. All these things should have been done and dusted by Thursday. But you guys said you wanted to handle Salah, so it's not my fault. It's not my fault actually. So do it today, so I can start marking your assignments, please. I'm behind schedule on that assignment. I don't like it.
So I need to know something, one vital thing. That Shebang is running, right? It's running your test. Forget like the comments.
Shebang is actually running. So you know what Shebang does. I think the book explained what Shebang does.
Yes,
so
because like I had some problem with like getting the environment, because I just realized in some people's laptop, Python 3 works for them. Some is Python. Mine is Py that works, only PY that works. Python 3 or Python doesn't work. So I feel like it's different. So some people test, like some people will have issues if they don't get their main Python.
What Shebang does is Shebang eliminates the need for you to write Python. That's what Shebang does normally. So Shebang looks for the Python executable right in your user.bin folder. So it looks if there's a Python executable there, and it uses that Python executable to run your code. That's what Shebang does. But your code can still work without the Shebang line. It's actually optional, right? Okay. What that book is doing is just giving you best practices. So, but most of those practices is if you have time, you're going to be doing best practices. If you just want to do quick work, you won't be looking at. You just want your code to work, right?
Okay. But so the Shebang is not necessary. Sometimes it's not necessary.
Yeah, as long as it's not necessary sometimes. As long as if you do Python, whatever your code runs, you don't need Shebang. I remember the last time I used Shebang.
Okay. So, that's nice, because so I feel like it was
just
my problem.
Make sure your script is running. Make sure if you call your script, it is running. Just make sure your script is running. Anything you're doing to make sure your script is running, just make sure it is running.
Okay.
We're going to talk about best practices later. So, any other person? Teresa, do you have anything to say? Is Teresa on this call? How about you, Deborah? You have something to say? All right. Give me who wants to say something? Okay, Deborah, yeah, go ahead.
Never mind.
Are you having any issues?
Well, I'll not yet. Should I say not yet? Or I don't even know. Eniola was not available yesterday evening, so I couldn't do much. But whichever
right, you now have Awonike, and you now have Awonike, and you now have Temitope. So they are also they've also skilled through that part, so you can reach out to them as well. So yeah, so please give me like 2 minutes. Let me quickly attend to something.
Gabriel, please, can you mute yourself, please?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello? Mic check.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
All right, I'm seeing someone here for the Joyce Okuri. Have you been on our call before?
You asked me this question several times. I've been on the call. I think on Wednesday or so. You asked, and I told you either Wednesday or last week. I can't remember. I've been on the call.
Are you serious? Oh, sorry about that. I didn't notice. So how far are my assignment? My projects, rather.
I've started the assignments, but I've had some issues. But I've heard what you said so far. So we'll work on it later today. Try to complete it today. The test, I was having zero what's it called? Not errors, but more like no passes, 0 passes, something like that. So I need to do it again to get like 5 passes, as others have gotten.
All right. So that's fine. So sync later with your colleagues. So how about Rashidat, Secure Rashidat?
No, sorry. Can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
It seems Python itself has its own inbuilt PyTests.
Python doesn't have inbuilt PyTest. Python has a unit test module, right? But that one is sort of difficult to use, so that's why you need to install PyTest. PyTest is it's not inbuilt, right? PyTest doesn't come installed with Python.
Okay.
At least up to Python 3.8. I know it doesn't. So I don't know, maybe they implemented it in 3.9. So yeah. So Rashida, have you spoken to us today?
Yeah, good morning. So I'm just attending the class. I've been working with the recorded session because at the time the class holds, I'm always working. So I've been working with the recorded session. But I'm still doing my projects 1 and 2, the tiny project assignments. I'm still on it.
Okay, so how has the recorded sessions been?
Yeah?
So how has the recorded sessions been?
Been working well, so I've also been working with the peer-to-peer, my group members in the peer-to-peer learning. So they've been helping also.
All right. Yeah. So that makes sense actually. That makes sense. So yeah, you have the resources there on YouTube. You can always go back to them and review them. Miriam, have I heard from Miriam today? Miriam.
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Good morning.
So how is it going? Yeah, good morning. How is it going?
Okay, so I honestly feel like if we take your advice, we would do well. So I took your advice you gave the last class, and I think the video is working for me more than the book itself. So I finished watching all the videos the guy did for chapter 1, and I honestly understand everything he has said. So my plan is to rewatch again and just implement before I move to chapter 2. So I'm good for now and I'm happy.
Wow, that's like a very wonderful feedback. So which of the advice so that others are going to follow your lead?
Okay, so I wanted to say something when I joined the class, and I can't remember the person that was speaking, and I think I also got stuck at a point. I feel like when you're running your test and you're not passing everything, just leave it and like I said, me, I was watching the video, so I passed only 3 tests, and it's telling me that I failed 2. So at the point I stopped, figuring why those 2 tests were wrong, and I just watched the rest of the video. So he later explained how to make those tests that I failed, how to make them right. I'm not sure if what I'm saying makes sense. So I stopped, then just finished watching the rest of the videos. Then I now understood what I was doing wrong, because the test is actually to make you fail it at the point, to be honest. Then now I see why those tests were failing, what you need to do to correct them. So
you read, yes, exactly. So that's one thing about instruction. So you're supposed to fail those tests at some point. Then when you read further, you're going to see how you're going to pass the test. So that's why most of you is saying all of these things. I just know that it's either you've not read the chapter complete, or I don't know. I just know that the issue is not from me, and it's not from you.
I think Miriam is right.
Actually correct. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think Miriam is right there. The first, when I ran my first test, sorry, I didn't pass anyone. I read the book again. I was meant to fail everything in the beginning. You see, how I wrote my logo there, it was not equal to how the logo was supposed to pass. It was not runnable. Do you get? So okay. I checked the error message. My hello world was not equal its own hello world. So there's no way I could pass the first one. Okay. So I rewrote my hello world. it was runnable. So I moved to the other one. I was reading it one step at a time. You get. So I discovered the video early. So I was watching the video. I was reading the book side by side. Wow. So the second one was passable. Was it executable or something? So at some point in chapter 2, right, I was meant to copy, to do, what was it? To change bin, I think to change bin or something. So I had to, I used sudo install, but I wasn't supposed to use sudo. I wasn't supposed to give permission to myself, right? So I went back again. So he has a section that if this wasn't working, the other one should work. So he made a provision. He knew you were going to fail that, or your system might not be running that. So he made a way out. When you read, I didn't read further. I was just stuck there. So I had to read further again to get the solution. So a step at a time. I think, but you have to be patient with the book.
I really like this feedback. Yeah, I really like this feedback.
If you're feedback. No what? Use Google to check the updated version of it, the updated that you're supposed to use. Google will bring it out for you. So that it's actually quite easy if you follow the steps, honestly.
But you have to be patient.
I like this feedback. Yeah. Very so.
The book will frustrate you.
I know, right?
So this feedback is actually also, I like this feedback I'm getting. So you've heard it, you've heard it from your colleagues, right? It's not from my mouth. So it will look like, oh, I give you guys on happily and tasks like that. So so another thing I want to mention is that a lot of people have different styles for learning. So I have a friend that for teaching him anything and there's no video to it, he's not going to learn anything. He just needs to watch videos. Right, as he learns more, or he learns better when he watches videos. So even if he's doing his Google search, most of the time he's just searching for videos, right? So there are people that are like that, and there are people like myself that I don't even like. You just have to give me an article, right? I don't excel very well watching videos. So I like going through articles, right? So there are different strokes for different folks, right? So what I'm trying to point out is that if you're reading the book and it's not digesting it, like you're not getting the picture clearly, you should try to watch the video. So the guy did a very good job, creating a book and then doing a video for each chapter. So like he did a very, very awesome job for that. So you heard it from your folks. So yeah. So that's that. So any other person wants to talk to us? Cynthia, want to say something?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, hi, good morning. I don't have much to say. I think I've heard from my colleagues. I'll also try my hands on the project today as well. I started it last week, but I ran into some issues, and I think I explained in the last class. But I'm going to take the advice of my colleagues, watch the videos on YouTube, and start all over. Maybe I'll be able to finish it today. I hope to finish it today, rather.
All right. That's fine. So that's fine. Also, don't forget to sync with your colleagues when they decide they are going to be having a sync. Don't forget to join the call so that you can communicate with them your own pain points. So it's actually always good when before you have those kind of calls, you've actually tried your hands on your own particular problem and you can pinpoint where you're having issues, so that when you join that call and then there isn't one person's screen as an example, you can always see how that person maneuvered that particular point that was giving you issues, right? So Ganiat, have you spoken to us today? Ganiat Shitu. Ganiat on the call.
Oh, sorry. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. So, well, I don't have much to say. Yes, I just joined not so long. I've been here on the Zoom, but not present. So I don't want to put us back, but I've started working on it. Unlike before, I was overwhelmed. I discussed with Tope and he said I should take a step at a time. And I've started doing that. So I started last night with the intro, actually. So, but today I will have more time to work on it. So that's where I am at the moment.
All right, that's fine. It's actually fine. So you have our videos on YouTube. Those videos are going to do a lot of help. And most of the things we are doing there, these are just beginner stuff. So it's nothing complex. These are basics. We've not started data science. What we are still doing is setup, and we are doing environment setup, and we are doing Python. So we've not even started data science, right? So don't get overwhelmed. Just take your time before we go a little bit deeper. But we are not going to go a little bit deeper into anything. We are just going to keep scratching the surface of a lot of things. So you're going to see a lot of things work on the surface. And maybe when you move into your intermediate session, you can now start maybe going a bit deeper and trying to understand how everything works together in a complete data science project, right? So, but for now, I just keep going to scratch the surfaces of a lot of things and concepts, right? So yeah, so that's that. So Kehinde, you want to say something?
Good morning, guys. Yeah. After all has been said, I was able to do this one or two, and I feel maybe after this session, then I'll go back to my system and try what everybody has said, and I feel that will work for me. Actually, it will. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that. Thanks for that feedback. How about Etienne? Etienne, are you there? Hello, Etienne, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
All right, you want to give us like a rundown on what's up with you?
Sorry, come again.
So you want to give us like a quick summary of what you've been up to as regards the project and what you've been doing so far.
Okay. I have been working on my project. I have done a few of them. I'm currently on the tiny Git book. I reached out to Temi Talk, but we're supposed to have a call after this session. So yeah, I don't understand as far as it goes. So yeah.
Please, can I join the call?
Yeah, sure. I reached out to
seriously
Temi
need
Talk
it.
yesterday. We're supposed to have a
I need
call,
it
but
so much.
I was.
So yeah, so when you guys are having that call, please bring other people's attention to it so they can join the call as well.
Yes, please
So
share
is
the
it going
link
to?
on our group.
It should be maybe like you guys should probably use Google Meet. Yeah, use Google Meet.
So how do I get the link? I'm not
to be
part
more
of their
flexible.
group.
No, it's not like
It's
a
not
group
a
call.
group.
This call is regarding the project that you're
I
working
know.
on.
How do
Right?
I get the link to join the?
For us, it's just
On Slack
WhatsApp
now.
call.
Are you not on
Okay.
Slack?
Okay.
Or maybe like
Okay.
WhatsApp. Yeah. So just
WhatsApp call.
or use just create a Google Meet link, right? And then share it with the guys. So everybody should click on that link and then join the call. Right. So
I would
once
love to ask, when is this session ending?
This session is ending by 12.
By 12.
This is a 2-hour
okay.
straight session. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I'm just taking my time to get feedback from everybody. So we'll know where we are. Prince Ekiocha, I've not seen his name before. Hello, Prince. Are you on the call? Hello, Prince. Prince, are you on the call? Can the rest of you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
All
I
right,
can.
so maybe Prince is not on the call. So so how about you, Lawrence? Lawrence, how far now? Lawrence, are you with us? Okay, Lawrence is not on the call. Teresa, are you now with us? Hello, Teresa, are you now with us? Teresa is not with us. Praise, are you with us? Hello, Praise.
Yes,
You want to say something? Yeah, so how far has it been so far?
fine. I was only able to download the videos yesterday because I chatted Miriam and she suggested that I go through the videos first
Are you
of all.
downloading the videos?
Yes, I choose to download it so I can work with it.
All right.
So I think after the class, I will work with it.
All right.
Right. Thank you.
That makes sense. So Teresa, okay, Teresa, can you unmute your mic and talk to us? Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Oh, who's that? Okay. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I stepped out, just came in.
We've been calling you since now, and you're not on the call. So how far now? How has it been so far?
Okay,
with
with
the project, yeah.
Today is Saturday, right?
Yes, today is Saturday.
I'll give you my answer on Monday.
I'm evaluating your project like tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. You're going to have everything, but I'll give you my answer, my experience on Monday.
I'm only trying to get like what's up. What difficulties are you having with the project? Are you having any? Can you hear me? All right, I think she's having network issues. So yeah, so let's go back to what we have for today. We're already behind schedule. So so let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. It's raining here, so I think my network is actually giving me. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so we are going to be having our morning and afternoon session compressed into one, right? Because today is Saturday and people need to go about their lives. So but today we're working with we're looking at working with files in Python. So yeah, how do you work with files in Python? See, yes, we are going to do both this and we're going to have the practical session at the same time. So yeah, so how do you work with files? Let's say you have a file, because as a data scientist, you're going to be working with files a lot. So let's say your data sets are going to be files, right? Your data sets will be files. You get. So apart from maybe when you're connecting with an API to somewhere, but then for the introductory parts, your data sets are going to be files. You're going to be working with files. You're going to look at how to work with files in Python, how to get those files into your Python environment, into your scripts, how to manipulate them. So yeah. So manipulating files in Python. So computers use the file system to store and retrieve data. So each file is an individual container of related information. If you have ever saved a document, downloaded a song, or even sent an email, created a file on some computer somewhere. So like you already know this. When you download a song to your phone, that song is a file. You save a document. Now your email is actually work with files, like at all times working with files. Right. So with files and Python. So we are going to learn the different kinds of files used in the different kinds of files using code. My internet is actually bad. I don't know if
it's bad. You're breaking.
You're actually breaking. You're breaking.
I don't know what I can even do to resolve, because I feel like it's the weather. So the weather is not doing good. I don't know what to do now. But just call me back whenever you don't hear what I said very well. Just call me back, right? Just call me back. Exactly.
It's clear.
Yeah, clear.
All right. So I was saying that if you've ever done any of these things, if you've ever saved the document, downloaded the song, you've created a file. So we're now looking at how to work with files in Python, right? How to work with files in Python. So so reading file content. So let's say you had a file called document.txt. So you know about extensions, right? So the dot whatever of a file is the extension of the file. So the extension of the file tells you how to work with that file, right? So you already seen .py. Anywhere you see .py, you already know it's a Python file, right? So you've seen .txt, you know it's a text file. You're going to see a lot more other type of files. For instance, if you download a Windows program, what you're going to see is I think there's .msi, and then there's .exe. So that shows you that that file can be executed in Windows. So like there's a lot of, if you download .mp3, that means it's a music file. If you download .mp4, it's a video file. So like the extension tells you a lot about what kind of file it is, right? So let's say we had a file called cool documents.txt. So inside cool-document.txt, we have this text inside, right? Because in the text file. So how do we read this file in Python? So look at this code snippet down here. Look at this code snippet. We are going to be dissecting this code snippet.
We can't hear anything. Or am I the only one?
Inside you. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I think we lost you for a bit.
Yeah,
You said
at
we're
what point
going to be
losing?
you said we're going to be dissecting the elo.py code. I think I was at that point.
All right, so we're going to be dissecting this. We're going to be looking at the different parts and what each part is doing, right? Oh, maybe you can't hear anything.
We lost you at the
Yeah, it's the network. So I was saying we are going to be looking at what is happening inside here. What is actually happening inside here? We are going to be looking at it, right? We are going to be analyzing it. So that going forward we can have a solid understanding on how to open and how to manipulate the files in Python without using any library that is not a Python standard library, right? So let's go forward. Let's continue. So next, we're going to look at context managers, the with keyword. So if you look at that code that we had in the previous slide, you see that we started the code. Look at this code now. So we started the code with the with keyword, right? So this with keyword is a context, what we call a context manager. So you can read more on context managers, right? But essentially, what the context manager does is that it creates a context where you can manipulate, you can do whatever manipulation within that context, and then it tears down, like it closes whatever you did there, it closes it down. So it's like, it helps you to set up something, manipulate it, and then close it down. So that's like the general idea of what the context manager is. Now, the with keyword invokes something called a context manager for the file we are calling with the open function. So we have a function called open. So the open function, what it does is you can use the open function to open files, right? What we have here is the code snippet we have here is created file.txt. So the assumption here is that created file.txt is in the same directory as your script, right? If it is not in the same directory as your script, you're going to pass the path to the file you want to open. You're going to pass the path to that file. So but yeah, with the open function, the first argument in the open function is an inbuilt function. You're going to import it. So you're going to pass the name of the file you want to open. And so yeah, so the context manager takes care of opening the file when we call open, and then closing the file after we leave the indented block. So look at this code here. Observe what's happening in this code. So we only called open, right? And within the context manager, within the indented block, we read the file, right? Now observe what's going to happen here. Now let's continue. So all the variables you create, integers, lists, dictionaries, they are all Python objects. Like we already said in our week one, that everything in Python is an object. And Python knows how to clean them up when it's done with them. Now, since your files script, created file.txt is not a Python script. It's not inside, Python doesn't know anything about it, right? It's just a text file that is somewhere. So we need to tell Python, right, when we are done with them, so that Python can close the connection to that file. So when you call your list or you call your dictionaries, these are things that are inbuilt with Python. These are things that make up Python as a programming language. Python knows how to handle those guys. But if you're calling an external file, Python may not really know how to handle that file. So you need to explicitly tell Python that I want you to do this to this external file, right? So leaving a file connection open unnecessary file. So if you're opening a file, make sure you close the file after I think my network is bad. Can you hear me?
We can hear you
for some time.
but we didn't hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So where did you stop? Where did you stop?
I think is leaving a file connection open.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when you leave your connection, when you create a connection to a file and then you leave it open, a lot of things can happen, right? A lot of weird things can happen. So it's always best advice to close the connection once you are done working with the file. So the with syntax.
So I think I didn't get the part of it. We need to tell Python when we are done with them so that it can close connection to that file. What does that mean?
So yeah, so what I'm saying is, when you're working with dictionaries, you've done lists, you've done all of those data types in Python. So when you're working with those data types in Python, Python knows how to work with them. Python knows when you're done working with them. Python knows when to close them, right? And it doesn't bother you with all of those things. It does all of those things implicitly, right? But when you're working with an external file is something like what we have here. This created file.txt is an external file. It doesn't come with the Python installation. It's not a Python file. Python doesn't know what to do with it. So when we open it, we need to explicitly tell Python that close this file. I'm done working with this file, right? So we need to, so that's what this line is for. So since your file exists outside your Python script, you need to tell Python when you're done with the file, so you can close the connection to that file. So if you don't close the connection to that file, you may get like performance issues, right? So now the with syntax replaces the old ways of accessing files, where you need to call the close function explicitly on the file object, right? So we can still open up a file, append it with the old syntax, as long as we remember to close the connection afterwards. So here's what I'm trying to point out. Hello, is someone saying something? So here's what this line is. Here's what this line is trying to explain. As long as you are doing this, look at this code snippet we have here. We created a variable called created doc. Created doc holds the value of open created file.txt. What this open function does is it opens this file, right? It opens this file. Now, what do we want to do with this file that we opened? We want to write to the file. So we are calling, so this is a file object, right? So we are writing this particular line of code to the file. We are writing this particular line of text to the file we created, to created file. We are writing this line to it. Now, but we must close the file. We are going to get to that. Don't bother about that. I know I'm doing. So, but we must close the file after we are done working with the file. Let's say we don't just want to write one line. We want to write like multiple lines, right? So we must remember to close the file, right? Now, what the with context manager does is that it tells you that I'm going to handle closing the file for you. Just open your file, do whatever you want to do inside your file, and just leave the indented block as soon as you're done working with that file. As soon as you're done doing whatever you want to do in that file, just leave the indented block. That's what the with context manager does. So it saves you that stress of remembering to close your file manually. That's like one of the most important things the with context manager does. So I don't know if this explanation is clear. So the difference between this code here and this code here is that we are using the with context manager, and as you can see, we are not explicitly closing the file. What we just do is we just leave the indented block of the with context manager, and then all the manipulations, everything we want to do to the file is done within the indented block. And once we are done with that, we move out of the indented block, and the with context manager helps us close the file when we are done with it. But if we don't want to follow that route, we may follow the old approach. So this is the old approach. We open the file, we manipulate the file, and then we must explicitly close the file by calling the close function on it. So is there any confusion at this point? Yeah, there should be confusion. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, may I have a question? So I understand you shared the two different approaches to open a file, but instead of us stressing ourselves, can't we just change the .txt to just maybe py and add whatever we want to add to it, or that won't work?
That's a tricky question. So here's the thing. You won't be working with .py files all the time. Your .py file is a script. It's like a text. .py is a text file, right? It's a script that is just like a normal text file. What it does is that with the .py, you're trying to tell your computer that this is a Python executable script, right? So you're now connecting that file to the Python interpreter. .py on its own is just a normal text file. What does the work is the interpreter. So the interpreter now knows that, oh, this is a Python file. This is separate from any other file on the system. So when you run .py, you're actually calling the interpreter to go and read whatever is inside your .py file. So it's not every time you're working with .py files. What if the file you're working with is a text file? What if it's a CSV file? We will be converting the CSV file to .py. If you convert it to .py, it won't make sense anymore.
Yeah, they won't be in the they won't be written in code actually.
Exactly. So it's going to give you a lot of funny errors. In fact, I've not seen that happen before.
Okay.
So this is working with external files. So when you're working with external files, this is how you manipulate the external files. So any other question at this point?
Can you explain the with open this thing, please? Okay.
Only my network that is bad. Can you go ahead?
Please, I think you should, please help us go to the other page that has the other code.
Okay. So in this code here, we are reading the file.
Okay, yes, in this place, please, can you explain this with open as cool_doc?
So what's happening here is that we are using the with context manager instead of going through the old approach. We're using the with context manager. Okay. So what's happening here is that we are opening a file called cool_doc.txt. Now we are aliasing that file. I want to give it an alias. So if you know what alias means, alias is that I want to give you a nickname. That whenever I call you that nickname, you should answer me. So we are aliasing the file as we are aliasing whatever we open here. Whatever happens here, this open file, we are aliasing it as cool_doc, right?
Okay.
Aliasing it as cool_doc. So cool_doc is going to represent this open file here, right?
So anytime we want to make use of
inside it. Yeah, anytime I want to do anything to this file, I'm going to call cool_doc.
cool_doc. Okay.
So the file content is just a variable. So we are creating that variable inside the with context manager. We're creating it inside the with block.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Why are you assigning another variable to the cool_doc?
It's just for explanatory purposes. You can actually do cool.read, but sometimes we may want to reference the read file. Let's say we want to do another operation on it, right? So that's why most times we we put it to a variable.
Sorry, this code I'm seeing here, the read function or method, is not assigning anything. It's just an open read function, right? So this print file content will still return the content of the old cool underscore documents, right?
Yeah,
We are
so
not adding anything, any new document.
What is happening there is that we are reading the file. We are reading the file. We are not writing to the file. This is in this other line of code.
Okay. Sorry. It's read. Okay, sorry.
All right, so let's go ahead, please. We are going to solve this in the practical session. So in this script, so what we are doing here is in this script here, we are adding. So we added latest line. So you see, we are writing to this open file. So we open the file, right? And we are writing latest line to the file, right? And after writing latest line, we are closing the file. So however, since we use the older syntax, we had to remember to close the file outwards. Since this is necessarily more verbose, so it requires at least more line of code without being any more expressive. Using with is preferred, right? So this is self-explanatory. So generally, context managers allow you to perform what is called the setup and tear down phase when writing programs in Python. So it's not just when you're reading files, right? So it's what we call setup and tear down. So for instance, this part here is setup. So you're setting up the file here, you're manipulating the file, and then the tear down phase is once you leave the context manager, that's the tear down phase, right? So here you're setting it up. Once you leave the block, you're tearing it down. But that's like the concept you can browse on later. So the setup phase, you want to say something?
I have a question.
All right.
Now, with this, please can you go back to the top page? Not this one, the one with the with open file. Now with this with open function, now can we edit the file?
Yes, you can edit the file.
So the file can also be .jpeg, JPEG or whatever.
No,
it can be Excel. It can be.
It cannot be .jpeg. You don't just. So that's why you need to understand what each file extension does. So you don't just write to a picture like that, right? So you don't just write to a picture. You don't just write to.
But we can read.
So they are live there, yeah, but you can read. But there are libraries that allow you to manipulate with video files. There are libraries that allow you to manipulate image files. There are libraries that allow you to manipulate data files like maybe CSV file, Excel files. There are libraries that allow you to manipulate text files, right? So this example is specifically for text. So don't when you want to do working with images, you should just search that on Google, and you can see how you can read images and manipulate them.
But for this text library, I didn't see where you imported the
there's
module
no
or the
text
library.
anything. No, we are using the open function. So the open function is for reading text files. So text files, or maybe let me just say plain text files like
so
CSV.
you don't need to import the library to use the width.
We are going to get to the point where we do all of that. So just follow along, please.
So this with open function, not edit the file. We cannot write the file. We can only just read it.
We are going to see that. Just follow me here. So so the setup phase is where the file is read or written and assigned to a variable, while the tear down phase happens when we call the close function. So the with statement is a context manager that handles these phases for us implicitly, right? So that is clear. So now let's look at the open function. So we've looked at the with context manager. We've seen that the with context manager helps us to do the setup and the tear down. So that is, it helps us to open the file, it helps us to close the file. So what exactly does the open function itself do? So just give me a minute. Let me just go through this thing. Let me quickly check on something. Please. Just give me like a minute or so. Yeah, hello, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, we are here.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so let's go back to this function we wrote before. So what does the open function do? The open function opens a file and it returns it as a file object. So what is happening here is that when we call this open function on this document that exists somewhere on our system, what is going to be returned here is a file object. And that file object is what we are aliasing as CoolDoc. We don't want to use the with approach. We follow this approach here. Follow this approach, the older approach. When we assign the open function and then we read a file, when we do this variable here is what the file object is, right? So we are creating a file object. So once you use the open function, whatever is returned is a file object, right? Is that clear? So that file object is the file object that has all of these methods, all of these write methods, close method, and all of that. So the open function opens a file and it returns it as a file object, right? So what is returned when you use that is a file object. So we saw from the above code that we can use the open function to specify a file we wish to open in our code, and use the ask keyword. So we can use the ask keyword to alias the file object that was returned, right? So I already explained that. So we are opening the file, right? But then want to have a reference to this file since we are using with, right? We are not like assigning it to a variable or something. So we are using the as keyword to alias the file object. So here the variable here we created a variable called file content. But what file content does, it reads the file object, right? It reads whatever is inside that file object. It is not the file object itself. Exactly. So now for the person that was asking, so the open function now takes two arguments, right? The first argument is the path to the file we want to open. So where does that file live? So you're going to explicitly specify, which is what we did here. So we specify that the file is in the same directory as our Python script, and the file name is cooltext.txt. The next argument is the mode we want to open the file in. The default mode is read, right? So the returned object can then be used with the associated methods like .read or .write or whatever. Now, look at this code snippet here. Look at this code here. So the open function takes two arguments. The first one is the name of the file we want to open. Then the next argument is the mode. So there are three modes, right? So we'll have the append mode, we'll have the read mode, and we'll have the write mode. I think there's somewhere I did something on that. So yeah. So this is when you're writing to a file. So look at this code snippet. So with open created file.txt, we want to open it in what mode? What mode are we opening it in? we are opening it in the write mode. So what we are saying is we want to open this file, or we want to write to this file. We don't want to read the file. We want to write to the file. Assign it to an alias, and then we're now saying, we're now referencing the file object, and we're saying .write. So this is going to write this. It's going to write this content, this line of text to this file. It's going to write it to the file, right? So here we are passing the W argument to open in order to indicate to open, in order to indicate that we want to open the file in write mode. But default argument is read. So that's why if you watch here, we didn't specify the second argument. We didn't specify the second argument. Why didn't you specify? We didn't specify it because the default argument is read. So if you don't, once you hear default argument, it means that's what it's going to do. If you don't call that argument, if you don't explicitly change it, that's what it's going to default to, right? So default argument is a read mode. So, but then we want to write to a file. We need to change that default argument to W, right? So the default argument is read, and passing R to open opens the file in read mode. So we've been doing before. So this creates a new file object, right, in the same folder as hello.py, and gives it the text. Here is the content for the new file. It is important to note that if there is already a file called created file.txt, it will completely overwrite that file, erasing whatever its contents were before. So let's say you already have a file called created file.txt, and you're opening it in write mode, and you're writing something to it. What it's going to do is it's going to delete whatever is in context of txt before, and it's going to write what you're writing to it here in the script. That's why we now have another mode called append mode. So that append mode is going to the last line of the file. It's going to add it as an extra line to the file. My internet is shaky. Can you? Hello?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
So yeah, so so this is so for this one, this file is going to create a file. So we can also use this approach to create a new file. So we can also here now it's going to check, it's going to create a file, whether the file is existing or is not existing. It's going to create a file. Once you use the open function, you're creating a file, reading a file that is existing. Creating it in write mode, you're creating a new file and you're writing new content into that file. If you're using it in append mode, you're adding extra content to the file. So these are like the three different modes that the open function takes. So this is the first one. When we use this, when we use the write mode, we created the file, we appended this line of text. Now we use argument, which is append. Now we appended, here is a new line. So when we check our file, we see of text. Clear. We're going to see all of these things in practical, in practice, right? We're going to see it in practice in no time. So yeah, so iterating through lines. So yeah, so when we read a file, you may want to grab the whole content in a string, like .read would return. So when you use the .read method of a file object, it's going to read all the lines of the file. But what if we wanted to store each line in a variable? So we can use the .read lines function to read a file, to read the text file line by line, instead of having so to read the file line by line, we can just use this code. So we iterate through each line in the code. So here we are calling on the file object. Our file object is code, right? So we are calling for line in print line. So it's going to print each line of the file one by one to our right. It iterates through each line in the document, and then it prints the entire file output. So I'm going to see how all of these things work. We've done writing to a file, we've done appending to a file, we've done the default mode is reading a file. So look at this, look at this particular line code snippet. So we didn't specify anything. That means the default is right. So so you should take note of what you want. You should have in mind what you want to do to a file before you go ahead and work on the file. Do you want to just read the file? Do you want to create a new file and write to it, or do you want to append extra lines to the file? All right. So any questions at this point? I know it's confusing, but then we're going to do the practical. So I'm going to decide it works. So any questions at this point? Any questions? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I don't have any question for now.
All right. So any other person? Are we clear? Are we good?
I'm clear.
All right. How about you?
Yeah, it's clear up to this point. I'll see a question. Just let's keep going to the dictionaries, but
It's clear.
Abubakar Adisa, where from you? Adisa Abubakar, are you on the call?
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear us? Are you with us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm with you.
All right. So is it clear up to this point?
To a good extent, I believe when I check the video again, I'll grab it better.
Is actually not clear to me.
All right. So where is it not clear? So where is it?
Can you go back to the previous slide, the one before this, I guess, the one before this.
Okay. Which one? Is it this one?
No, not this. Yes, this.
This one.
Yes.
All right.
No,
so,
not this open function.
Which one?
The next one after open function.
The one after open function. This one.
Iterating.
This. Yeah, iterating two lines. Yeah.
All right. So we've done loops, right? We've done loops. Have we done loops in this class? Have we done loops? We've done loops, right? We've done while loop and for loop, right?
Yes.
Yes, we have.
Yes, we have.
Yes, we
Right,
have.
so who can just brush us, like who can just give us like an insight on what for loops are?
Okay, I think it will. Can I proceed?
Okay. Oh, okay.
Are you serious? We did for loops in this class.
Yes, I think it will iterate through the code and then print out each of the should I say words on a line? Should I say words on a separate line? As
okay. Just explain what for loop. Explain what for loop is. Just explain what for loop is.
It iterates between a particular range.
Let's say list of 5 objects. So it's just loop through elements, loop the third element, loop for elements until it gets to the.
All right, that makes sense. So thank you, Bukola. Thank you, Bukola, for that. Miriam, do you want to add something to?
Yeah, I think she has said everything. So for loop is really to iterate over a sequence. So it will go the first time, take the item till all the item in that sequence has been exhausted.
All right. So who can relate that concept to what is happening in the second line of this code snippet?
So I think I'll just like to add that it iterates over a sequence and then executes what is under it. Like, so for this particular one now, is going to iterate over all the line in this cool document text. It will read it and then print each line as it's reading it.
Exactly. So it doesn't just iterate, it performs an operation on each of those sequences. So for instance, here we have cooldoc.read lines. What cooldoc.read lines returns is all the lines. This returns all the lines in the text file, right? It returns all the lines in the text file. Now, we want to print all the lines, right? So we're not going to go through each line. So for each line in cooldoc.read lines, print line. So it goes to the first line, right? It reads the line, right? It goes to the first line, it reads the line, it prints the line. It does the same thing for the second one until it checks that there are no more lines. There are no more lines in cooldoc, and then it exits the for loop, right? So I don't know if this is clear. Who asked the question? Is it Kendi that asked the question?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah.
So we're going to do this in practice, and then you're going to see how it works. But I think she gave like a very perfect example of what's happening here. So it goes through this, and then it prints each line. So we're going to see what will happen when we just call cooldoc, and then we're going to see what will happen when we call cooldoc.read lines, right? So let's just go ahead. So any other person with any question? Yeah, any other questions? But you understand what append does and what write does and what read does, right? You understand that?
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
All right. So now, so let's go over to working with CSV files. So what is a CSV file? So most of the time when you're working with, when we start doing data science properly, the data sets you'll be working with are mostly CSV files. So, but CSV is just a text file. It's a text file that is separated with comma. The delimiter is comma. So it stands for comma separated values, actually. So CSV files are usually the way the data from spreadsheet software like Excel and Google Sheets is exported in a portable format. So like, let's say your Excel file looks like this. So you already, I don't know if any of you have worked with Excel before. So you have an Excel file like this. So you can export this file now to CSV, right? If you export it to CSV, it's going to come out like this. Exactly. So you see, can you analyze the CSV? You can see that everything is separated with comma. So we have name, comma, username, comma. These are the headers, right? Then we now have the values. So we have Roger Smith, comma. So like it's a comma separated file. Once the file is separated with comma, it's a CSV file. We also have tab separated TSV files. We also have semicolon separated files, right? So all of these files have their different extensions, but generally you'll be seeing CSVs. You'll be seeing CSVs. They're actually very easy to work with, right? So how do we read a CSV file? How do we read a CSV file? Most times people export their files directly as Excel files. Let me just point that out. You can see people that export their files as Excel files. So Python also has a model to work with Excel directly, but we are going to be working with CSV, right? So so notice that the first row of the CSV file doesn't actually represent any data. It's just the labels of the data that represents the rest of the file. I think there's a typo there. So the rest of the rows of the file are the same as the rows in the spreadsheet software. Just instead of being separated into different cells, they're separated by commas. So this is quite self-explanatory. So instead of being separated into different cells, we are separating them by commas. And the first row, which is name, username, and email, they're actually the headers of of the file, right? They are the labels of what each column contains. So in general, the separator character is called the delimiter, right? So the delimiter and comma is not the only one used, right? So other delimiters include tab, colon, semicolon characters. So properly passing a CSV file requires us to know which delimiter to use, right? So here we're going to look at reading a CSV file. So I already mentioned things about delimiters. So you need to look at your file, you need to know what delimiter it's using, and then you need to know how to so you know how to work with it. So we have a sample CSV file here. So sample CSV file has headers. So the headers are name, department, date, month, and then we have two persons, and we have the information of two persons in the sample of CSV file. So we can read the file. We can read the file by running the following code. So Python itself, the Python module has its standard library called CSV. So if you're working with CSV files, you don't need to you need to import the CSV file. You don't need to install it separately with pip. It comes with the Python standard library, right? So you just need to call it. You need to call the CSV file, and then you need to the CSV module, and you need to work with it, right? So so we are importing the CSV module because we want to work with CSV files. And since you already know about the width and open, so we are doing with open sample.csv. We are passing an argument here. Then we are opening it as we are giving it an alias. So that the alias we are giving it is a CSV file. So what is returned? This CSV file is this is still a file object. Remember that open returns a file object. So we now created a variable. So the variable is CSV reader. So that CSV reader, what we're now doing is we're now calling the CSV module. We're calling the CSV module, but reader. We're now saying we want this CSV module to read our file object, right? To read our file object, and the delimiter that we are passing to it is comma. Now we are saying for each row in CSV reader, which is this variable there, for each row there, we want to print when you start working with strings, you know what this does. Or basically what this does is this appends a list to a string, right? So we're going to see how this works in code. And here is the output you're going to get. So I know it's quite a lot, but then we'll see how it works in code. So this is how you read the CSV file. So you just pass in the CSV file you want to read here into your open statement. This argument, this new line argument is actually optional. You can browse about this new line argument. It's quite a complicated explanation, but just put it there for now. Now we're opening it as giving it an alias. Then within the context manager, we are saying creating a variable. We are calling the CSV module. We are calling the reader method of the CSV module. The reader method helps us to read the CSV file. So it reads the file object, right? And then it sets the delimiter to comma because actually these values are separated by comma. We are now seeing for each row in this variable. So each row here returns a list. So we are now saying string dot join list. So we need to see how that works in code shortly. How about writing to a CSV file?
Sorry, please. Please, can you go back to the previous one? Yeah. I feel the output is the same as the original file. I don't see any difference.
That's what I'm saying. I'm only showing you how to read a CSV file. We are not changing it. We are not changing
Okay.
I'm only showing you how to read it.
Okay. Thank you.
So let's say for instance you don't want to print it, you just want to read the file and then you want to perform some other things on the CSV file. Let's say you want to you want to extract the person's name, you want to extract the person's department, you can do all of that. But this one is just showing you how to read the file and do whatever you want to do inside inside your Python script later. Let's go ahead. So writing to a CSV file. So naturally, we have the ability to read different CSV files. If we have the ability to read it, you might want to be able to automatically create CSV files that save output and data that someone can actually build into their spreadsheet software. So how do we create CSV files? Let's say we have a big list of data that we want to save into a CSV file. We do the following. So here is the list. So we have a list of dictionaries. So this is a list, right? So the list contains different dictionaries. So those dictionaries have key value pairs. So key is name, value is the string. The second key is user ID, and this is the ID. The third key is admin, and this is the value. So we have 4 of such dictionaries that have that holds information on some people, right? Now we are importing the CSV module. Now we are opening a file. Remember, this file does not exist. We are trying to write to the file. This file, this output.csv does not exist. So that's why we are using the write method. We are opening this. We are trying to write to the file. So we are opening with this alias. So now we now want to get what are the field names, what are the column names, let's call it that. Let's call it column names. So the column names will be name, user ID, and its admin. So to pass the column names to a list, right? Now we create another variable called output writer. So the CSV module has a method called dictionary writer, right? So this is like an inbuilt method for the CSV module. So let's say you have a dictionary, right? You have a dictionary. Yeah. So dictionary writer. So what do you want to write? What file do you want to write to? What file do you want to write? So we'll pass our empty. Remember this output of CSV is still empty, right? It's empty. So we'll pass the output of CSV to the dictionary writer. What are the field names? Field names means what are the column names? So we'll pass the column names. So these are the column names here. We'll pass it. So we created a writer object here. So we'll now do. So the writer object. This is the writer object here. Output writer. Output writer now has its own method. Right? The writer object has a method called write header. So what write header does is it's going to write these field names to the dictionaries, to the CSV file. It's going to write these field names as the columns. It's going to write it as columns, right? So what's the next thing we want to do after that? Next thing we want to do is we want to relax. I want to see how these things work. I want to see how it works. It's actually pretty easy. So the next thing is we are now going to go for each item in big list. So big list takes 4 dictionaries, right? So this is the first dictionary, second dictionary, third dictionary, fourth dictionary. So we're now seeing for each item in big list, output writer dot write row item. So the first item is this row dictionary. The second item is the second dictionary, the third item, the fourth item. So we're now seeing for each of the items in big list. Output writer object. Remember, we use output writer to write the header. This is the header, right? So what if we now want to write the rows? We'll now call the write row method on it. So if we call write row method on it, it's now going to write each of these rows to the CSV file, right? This is you're going to see this work. It's actually easy. It is an explanation. So in our code, so we had a set of dictionaries with same keys, and with same keys for each prime candidate for the CSV. So like what that means is that if you're working with CSVs, the column names should be the same, right? So the column names should be the same. So the keys are the same thing. So that is like actually makes sense. So that's how CSVs expect their headers. So now we import the CSV library, and then we open a new CSV file in write mode, right? We then define the fields we are going to be using into a variable called fields. So we then instantiate a CSV writer object and pass two arguments. So the first is the output CSV, that is the file handler object, right? The second is our list of fields, which we pass to the keyword parameter field names. Now that we've instantiated our CSV writer object, we can start adding lines to the file itself. Remember, the file is still empty at this point, right? At this point, the file is still empty. So the first thing we write to the file is we write the field names. With the right header method. So for the right header method is going to write these field names to the empty file, right? So first we want the header. So we'll call right header to the writer object. This writes the field names passed to field name as the first row of our file. Then it moves through the big list of data. Now each item in big list is a dictionary. So with each field in fields as key, you get. So each item here is a dictionary. Now each of these dictionary keys is actually what we call here as the field name, as the column name, right? So we call output.write_row, and this writes each line to the CSV. So this is actually a lot. I feel your pain. Right? So does anybody is anybody attempting to understand what I'm saying? I know you're confused, but like, is anybody attempting to understand what's happening? I'm not saying does anybody understand. I'm saying, are you attempting? Are you trying to understand?
Yes, I'm trying to decode it.
More.
I think I'm trying to.
It's okay.
With my understanding, the first thing we did is to write the names of the column, right? We define the names of the column for feed, right?
Yes.
And the names of the columns are their keys. They are the keys of the dictionary, right?
They are the keys of so they are the same. They match. They need to match.
They need to match, yeah.
The dictionary. Yeah.
So what we didn't do is we used the right header to write the names. We didn't do for loops. We did for loops for the rows.
Yes.
To write the rows.
Because the header is just one. The header is just one list.
Yeah.
It's just one list.
Yes,
so that's why we iterate through it. Right.
True.
Now
True.
the rows are actually multiple. So
multiple.
We have four rows here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening there.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you come again? I didn't get that part.
Because I think it was a colleague that was explaining. So please explain it again. I'll just explain how you understand it.
All right. So what I understand there, when we are writing a CSV file, right? So we define the alias of we define the name first. We use the with open, right? And we write it we do a write mode. We want to write, we do a W inside the code, as you can see on the first line. Then we give it an alias.
Sorry, please. Please. Output.csv does not exist, Abi?
It does not exist.
It's
just the file. Output.csv does not exist.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Continue.
Yeah, because it's a CSV file, we have to define the extension like he explained earlier. So we define that .csv is just to define the extension of the file. Right, Mr. Courage, am I on point?
Yes, on point.
All right, so give it an alias. We say we don't want it to be an output.csv again. We want the name we want it to carry. Let me just leave that is output_csv.
Yeah.
So
that's
we define
the file object.
That's the file object. True. So now we want to define if you have worked with Excel, just the rows and the column. So we define the rows first, the fields, one after the other.
The columns. Yeah,
That's the columns. That's the column. So we need to define the name, the columns. So we put that into a variable, and checking from the dictionary, right? The columns should be the keys, right?
Yes.
The column should be the keys. So if you check the dictionary, names appear everywhere, which are the keys. User ID appears everywhere, and is admin appears everywhere, like that.
So that's the
if you check the
of
keys.
Yeah.
So the keys will go into our column name. Then the next field is writer output. We are trying to write the name of the field now, which is the name of the column. So we call the CSV.dictionary, CSV.writer rather, CSV.dict_writer, because we are working on dictionary. So the CSV has a method, right? Is it a method now that is called dict_writer, right? So the dict_writer will have we carry these parameters. It carries these parameters. So we define the name of we define the data, that empty file, the name of the empty file first. Then we define the name of the column 2, which we have assigned to a variable field. Next, right? Right. So we call the
sorry, please. That output underscore writer, the whole listeners as a whole, I don't get the CSV.writer.
The output.writer is just a variable.
Writer object. Is a writer object. So we are creating a dictionary writer object. This object at this point, it doesn't do anything. We are just instantiating the object. Right. So what we are doing is we are instantiating the dictionary writer object. So we are saying this want to create the CSV module here. It has a method that can help you write dictionary files to CSV. So that method is what we are calling here. So we're now calling that method that, okay, please, we want to write, we have a dictionary. We want to write that dictionary. We want to write that dictionary. We want to convert it to a CSV. So we're now calling that method. This method is now going to help us to convert our dictionary to a CSV. Now, what does this method need? This method needs some things to work. It needs, where do you want to write your CSV to? You want to write our CSV to this variable. This is where you want to write our CSV to, right? It also needs another information. The information you need is what is going to be the column names of the CSV you're trying to write to. What is going to be the column names? So we're now passing the field name as the column name. So these are the two parameters that our helper method. So the helper method is dict_writer. So this is the two arguments that this method needs to work. So
okay.
Understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Do you
so
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand, but why not leave it as fields instead of now assigning field names to fields again?
No. What is happening here now is that dictionary writer, the dict_writer, it possibly takes more than just 2 arguments. So it may take maybe like 10 arguments or 20, but we don't really care about all of these arguments. What we care about is that we want for it to work, it needs like 2 required arguments, and those required arguments are where do you want to write this thing to, and what are the field names. So if we just call fields, here, we are not giving it, we need to pass it to the correct parameter. So this is the parameter name. So we need to call this parameter name to explicitly tell it that what we want, this is what we want it to be. This is what we want you to use as the field name, right? So that's why I just call this is the parameter, right? This is if you check the documentation of CSV dict_writer, you're going to see that maybe there's possibly more than one argument that is needed here. But we just want to tell it that, okay, this is what we want to be the column names of our CSV we are trying to create, right? So maybe there's another parameter called whatever. You're going to pass that one too as well. You're going to put the parameter name and then you're going to pass the value to it. But maybe those ones now they have default values, right? Maybe those ones now they have default value. this thing is just like every other. This dictionary writer is just like every other function, just like the open function. The open function now takes two arguments. The first argument is what do you want to open. The second argument is what mode you want to open it. But now, let's say you're not calling the W mode. You just want to call only output.csv. So it takes the default value, what Python has already specified as the default value for the second argument. And what's the default value for the second argument? The default argument is R, which is in read mode. Same thing as this dictionary writer. So it has default values for the other arguments it's taking. It has default values. But now we want to specify that, okay, for the field names, we don't want you to take the default value. We want you to take fields as the value we want to pass as the column name. Is that clear?
Yeah, very clear, very clear.
All right. So makes sense. So please continue the explanation. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm still explaining.
Yeah. You stopped at the third line. So continue.
So I
just
checked out help on CSV does Dix writer now, and it's true what you're saying. It's about 5 to 6 parameters. So arguments. So the field names is stated there that you have to pass in field name, which are the column names, right? The first one is the data. Yeah, I think it's required. I think it's required for it to work. So the next one is our output writer. Okay, on the output writer, we also pass in right header, right?
Yeah. So right header now is like a method that will now write the field names.
The field names explicitly. Okay.
Yes, it's going to write into this file. So here now, once we instantiate the dictionary writer, this is an object. This is a dictionary writer object, right? We've called an object. This object at this point is doing nothing. We just called the object and then we gave it some arguments of what we want it to do. Now, once we've called this object now has its own different methods, right? The dictionary writer has its own different methods. One of that method is called right header. So that right header is going to write whatever you have in your field name. Is going to write that value to the CSV file, right? So now after we've written, now at this point we've written our CSV, our output of CSV now has name, user ID, and admin. At this point, once we've written the header, now our output of CSV now has that. Now we are now going to iterate through big list. I'm going to iterate through big list. And I'm going to say for each dictionary in big list, output.writer write that particular dictionary as a line, right? Given each of these, under each of these columns. So we're now going to iterate through big list and then I'm going to write each item to it. So yeah, so your questions please.
It's Mr. Ifeanyi.
Yeah.
So when saving the file on the VS Code, we're still using .py, right?
When saving which file?
.py. That is the file we created on the VS Code.
I don't understand your question. Is it the output.csv you're talking about?
What I'm saying is, the output.csv. Okay, is it the name of the file that we want to create on the VS Code?
Yes, output.csv is the file we want to create. Is the file.
So we are using the CSV.
So we are using the .py file to create output.csv file.
Okay.
We are trying to create a CSV file.
Okay.
So this is the Python script. This is a Python. So there's nothing. It has nothing to do with py. It's just that your script is going to be a Python file. This is a Python file. This is a Python script now where you're going to write your code. Right. So inside our Python script, we want to create a CSV file. All right. So any other question?
So it means that output_writer.writeHeader is for the column, while output underscore writer dot write row is for the each item in each row. Abi?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there are also other methods for the dictionary writer object. Yeah, there are other methods, so you can go and research those ones for yourself. But now what we need is just two methods: the method that will help us write the header, the method that's going to help us write the row. Right.
Thank you.
I went to see all of these things. We went to see how it works. Right? So how about JSON files? So now, we've done how to work with text file. We've done how to work with CSV file. I want to do how to work with JSON files. So CSV is not the only file format that Python has a built-in library for, right? So we also have, you can also use Python's file to read and write JSON. So JSON is an abbreviation for JavaScript Object Notation, and it's a file format inspired by the programming language JavaScript. So the name, like CSV, is a bit of a misnomer. So some JSON is not valid JavaScript, and plenty of JavaScript is not JSON. So like if you see JavaScript object notation, you think it has nothing to do with JavaScript. It has actually nothing to do with JavaScript. JavaScript is a programming language. JSON is a file type, right? So you know the difference between, it's just like comparing Python to CSV. A CSV file is just a file type. Python is a programming language. The same way JavaScript is a programming language, and JSON is just a file extension. So but the way they named it, now look as if both of them have like, but there are like some similarities. Yeah, so there are some similarities. So JSON's format is entirely similar to dictionary syntax. So JSON looks a lot like dictionaries, right? And so JSON files can be easily read from a Python developer standpoint. Nonetheless, Python comes with a JSON package that helps us to pass JSON files into actual Python dictionaries, right? So it looks like a dictionary, but actually Python now has an inbuilt library that can help us read a JSON file as an actual dictionary, right? We suppose we have a JSON file like the following. So we have a JSON file like this, and so we'll be able to read that in as a Python dictionary with the following code. So we import just the way we imported CSV. So we import the JSON module. Now we read the file. So remember, we are not passing W here, which means we are opening this file in read mode, right? So that means this file already exists. Exactly. Yes. So so we are reading it as purchase JSON, right? We're giving the alias purchase JSON, and then we're just saying purchase. We are passing a variable, and we are calling a JSON function, which is a dot load function. So the dot load function takes in the file object, and the file object is actually our JSON file, right? So here we can now print purchase data. We can slice it by user, and then we're going to get, so the output we're going to get is Ellen Greg, right? So so that's that. So we can, if we want, we can convert this JSON data into dictionary. You can research on all of that on your own. So, this is my assignment, right? This is my assignment. So read and implement Tiny Python project chapter 3 and 4. Right, so this should be due by next week. These are links to additional resources. These resources are not exhaustive, right? So you can do your own research or additional resources that you like to So now let's go to our practical session quickly. So are you going to be creating the code, or should I do it so fast? Or you want one of you to do it, so you're going to see how you begin and does it? First vote. Should I do it or you do it? You work with your screen.
I think you should do it.
I should do it,
So
right?
it will be faster. Yes.
Yes.
If any,
Yeah.
those links are not on my slide. Maybe you have to update them. So.
I've updated them. So what you have to do is you need to
This morning.
It back from Citron. Yeah.
Okay.
You need to go and open it. You need to go and open your Citron link again.
I will do that.
So yeah. So yeah, we're starting from the start. Right? So yeah, I just created a folder inside. So this is just show you. So this one look like this is your SDA folder on your desktop. I just created a folder 2D4, right? It's an empty folder, right? So what do you want to do now? I want to manipulating files. So let's create a new file.
If you won't use a virtual environment.
If I want, I will use a virtual environment. But this is just, I'm not creating a program. I'm just if I want, I'm not installing anything, right? Everything I'm going to be working with here, they
come with
everything I'm going to
Python.
be working with, yeah, they come with Python pre-installed. So I'm just going to work with it. Virtual environment mostly helps you with versioning. So when you know you're going to be using different versions, or you're going of different packages you'll be installing, then that's when you should be thinking about virtual environment. Okay, working
I
on
want to ask, on every program we are running on Python, must we install virtual environment? Because I feel maybe if you are collaborating with someone, that's when you can just activate your virtual environment. I don't know if I'm wrong.
Virtual environment. If you're working and if you're doing anything in Python, you should create a virtual environment. Now,
Okay.
virtual environment
Okay.
works. If for this particular one, we don't need a virtual environment because most of the things you're working with, they come pre-installed with Python. So if you're working on a program, if you're working on a live program, or you're working on something that may require that you need some libraries that are outside of Python. Maybe I need to do pip install scikit-learn or pip install numpy or whatever. I need to create a virtual environment for that. But for this one, this is just for explanatory purposes, and mostly everything I'm working with comes pre-installed with the Python standard library. So I'm not going to create a virtual environment for it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So let me rename this file. .py. So manipulate files.py. So I created a new file called manipulate files.py. So first of all, what we did here is we created a text file. So let's create a text file. Still inside here. Let's create a text file. What is one of our text file? Document.txt. Doc.txt. So this is the text file extension, right? So inside our doc.txt, what do we have inside? We have a text called cool stuff in here. Check them. Of explanation, and then you save. Control S. So we have a text file. So what do we want to do? We want to open a text file. So let's add a comment. Open the text file. So we use the with context manager. So you call with, give a space. You want to open, right? Open takes 2 arguments. So you see, it takes more arguments. So yeah, these are suggestions. It takes more arguments, but we're just interested in 2. So the first argument is the file. So normally, let's say your file is not here, it's not in this directory, it's in like another directory. We're going to pass the paths to the file, right? But we're in the same directory, so we're not going to do. Let's say you just want to get the directory itself. So you come to the file, click on it, then you say copy relative path, right? If you copy the relative path, come here, paste it. See, it gives us the same thing, doc.txt. So what if we want to copy the absolute path? Come here, so copy path, and paste. Copies, it gives us the link to that file right from the root directory of our laptop. So from the root directory of my laptop, which is the C drive, this is where this file, this is the location of this file on my laptop. This is what we call absolute path. So you can read on that absolute path, that's what the relative path. But yeah, it's in the same directory, so I don't do that. So I'll just do code.txt. Always make sure you give the file an extension, right? You don't want to go into errors. So what mode do I want to read this file? I want to use the default mode. So I want to open this file. I want to open this file as a, what's the name? My colon. So what do I now have? I've done the setup. So what do I want to do inside? What do I want to do with this file? Since I'm opening it in read mode.
Sorry, fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we run tests on this little code you've written so far?
Yes, you can write tests on it.
Okay.
If you know how to write tests, but test is like the topic is an advanced topic. It's not as easy as you think it is. So yeah, so there's a method. So the file object, right, has a method for reading files. So we want to pass the red file. So let's call this red file. Our red file we want to say cool doc file object dot read. So you see what VS Code, that Python extension is. You see it's giving me suggestions. Now I'm going to do print red file. Save my scripts. Okay, let me try this. Okay, so I'm there. So let me do Python 3. So you see, it prints. So you see what is printed? It prints the content of my file, right? So let's say I did not call .read. You know, this is how you play with code. Like this is how you play, this is how you get understanding of what's happening. So let's say I did not call .read. What does it return? It returns the class. So it's saying that this is a text input output wrapper, and the name is this, and the mode is this, and the encoding is this. So it just returns the file. It returns the file what do I call this thing again? File object, right? So this is the file object. It returns the file object. So let's say I want to print the type. I want to check the type of what is returned. So let me see print type. So you can actually do anything inside your read context manager. So this is the type. So the type is a file. This is a file object type. So text, input, output, wrapper. Right? So this is how you read files. So I can also explicitly, I'm doing over Sabi, I can just do R to show that I'm opening it in read mode. It's basically going to do the same thing, right? And we do the same thing, right? So you don't need that. Do anything you can do to make sure you write less code. That's how it works. This print statement should be outside the unit context manager. All right. So you understand what's happening here? Do you have any questions here? It is easy, right? Any questions? So let's practice the old style. Someone is saying something.
So I wanted to ask that must we alias it or alias? What was it called?
Yeah. If you're using the with context manager, you must alias it. So let's say we did not alias it now. How are we going to say we want to read it? What are we going to print?
Okay.
You get, sorry,
Yeah.
it's not working. If you don't want to alias it, then we need to use the old method. When you're using the with statement, you should always use the alias. So let's use the old method. So the old method, first thing we do is we create doc as a variable, which is the alias. In this case, our alias here is going to serve as a variable here, right? So that is what instantiates the file object. This is doc.txt. So what mode? Read mode. Right? This is the code style we're using. So now what do we want to do? We want to do so red file. Our red file will be doc. Right? So we want to print red file. It does this, but now there's one thing. Can someone tell me what's missing? What's missing here? Let's not waste time. We need to explicitly close the file, right? We need to close it. So we need to say red file. So let's try to close it. This front. Red file dot close. Save our scripts. Same. So string object as, okay, so what we need to close is the file object itself. So, AB, please go ahead.
Sorry, I'm trying it as you're doing. I'm trying it on my own hand, but when I try to print out the output, it's telling me that file is no such file in my directory. That is the cool doc text. It's not in my directory, and I opened a folder for it.
Is it in the same directory as your manipulate files.py?
Yeah, same directory as my manipulate
Did you comment out your first line of code?
Yes, I commented it.
Is your code looking like my own?
Also,
yes, exactly.
No such files and directly.
No such file.
Yeah, the same error that she's getting. I'm also getting the same.
Why am I not getting the same error?
That's what it.
How do I relate to what you're saying when I'm not getting the same error?
I think because you change your directory to your working directory. Maybe their working directory is not their the directory we are working now is not the directory their file is created. So they have to like
Yeah.
CD
Or
into
use
the
the copy path thing you mentioned.
or use the copy path you mentioned. Or the CD, I think the CD will just solve it.
CD into the directory where your file is. CD into the directory. Where the two files are. So yeah, so this is it, right? So yeah, we need to explicitly close what we opened, right? We need to explicitly close it, which is what was handled for us with context manager. So can you see the difference between these two things? How many lines of code did we need to write here? We need to write 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we need to write 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So this is more efficient. Okay. So that's fine. It's working. Hello, is it working? Is it working?
I was.
Eh?
I realized it was my mistake. I was not in the directory where I was working. I was not even inside my directory at all. So I had to CD into my directory, and it's working now.
So
it's reading the file.
Most of the things we could complain about is not my fault. Thank you. So yeah, so we've done that. So any confusion at this point? This is your practical session. So like, bring your questions. Any confusions at this point?
No confusion. I just asked a question. Like, what's the essence of us reading this file? Like,
now,
can you do like?
You're going to see the essence later. You're going to say, okay, let me say we've read this file, right? Let's say we want to use the content. Let's say most of the times, the file you're reading is going to be like thousands of rows, right? And let's say you want to do data analysis in those files. Let's say you want to analyze, you want to find the mean, the median, the mode, you want to draw graph on those files. You're just saying this is how you read in those files. This is just a basic example. I shouldn't be using thousands of rules to give you a basic example. Exactly.
Oh, I get. Thank you.
All right. So let's say.
Question. I noticed earlier on when you were saving the manipulate, when you were trying to create the manipulate files, you used CSV, but you later changed it to PY. Did you change it to PY because we're in Python directory in order for us to be able to insert the code and be able to read it?
No, if I change this thing now to OKC, if I change this thing now to CSV, convert everything here to CSV. You see, everything here is CSV. Now, if I now run manipulate python.csv, let me save it.
So it doesn't necessarily matter what you use to save the file. You can run your codes.
You should actually save your file as .py files, right? You save Python file as .py. Why is my terminal running now? You save Python files as .py files, right? But generally, right, even your .py file is just a text file. Just your .py file is just a text file. There's nothing special. What's happening there is that you're calling the interpreter. The interpreter interprets that file as a Python script. Exactly. So let's say I save this thing now. Let's say I save inside my .txt file now. And now I write the Python code here. If I run it, it's going to run. Because the interpreter does not care about the extension. It only cares about what is inside the file. So let's try it.
Are you serious? So the extension just tells you the type of the file. That's just the only function, right?
Yes, yeah. But if you call your why is this thing not working now? So actually, your place is you can learn how to code. You first of all write all your code inside Notepad. It's from Notepad if you only want your code. You won't do any .py whatever. It's inside Notepad you do everything. So let's call Python 3. Let's see if this will work. Oh, this I need to create another file. Sorry. You know, I'm reading through doc.
Sorry, please. Why are you typing cdsg 1.3/week2day4?
He's trying to go into his directory to access his file.
Directory. For you to work on this thing, your directory here that you are in your terminal. It gives you smoother access. So let me copy what's out doc. Copy what is here. I've not tried this before. This is like a very bright idea. Let's see. So what we want to read is report doc. Want to read. Let's see it. So let's call Python 3 report doc. Sorry, doc.txt. Why is it not working? It's working. Hey, so you see, it's supposed to work. So your experiment is actually correct. So do you understand what's happening here? And I was fast. But do you understand what's happening here? So this is cooldoc.txt, right? The extension is .txt, right? But what is inside the file? What is inside the cooldoc.txt is a Python script. Exactly. So we're writing Python code inside a file, a plain text file. Exactly.
Yeah, it's clear to me.
Yes. Now when we now run Python and then we are calling that text file, Interpreter doesn't give it. It doesn't really care about what extension you give it. What is this something I can understand? The Python interpreter goes to the first line, right? It runs it. It goes to the next line. It understands it. It reads the whole file. It understands everything, and then it just executes it. So the interpreter actually cares about what is inside. What are you writing? What are you writing inside here? That's what the interpreter cares about. Even if I rename it to .csv and then I run it, it's going to run. So it doesn't care about the extension. What it cares about is what is the content of the file. Is it something the interpreter can understand? It understands it, it works on it. But we just give all of these extensions for context, right? So that we can understand what we are working with. So you shouldn't imagine when you're working with people and then you name it. They think maybe should be you write your code so that people can read it. So yeah, but nice experiment. I like the idea. I'm not trying this before actually. So let's just do this guy. Yeah, let's put back what it is. So but this is how it should be, right? If you're specifying a text file, what should be inside should be text. Any questions at this point?
Yes, thank you very much.
Any questions? No question. So let's look at the open function. The open function has, okay. Let's try. We're already working with the open function. So we've already seen the difference between using the with context manager and not using the with context manager. And we've chosen that our preferred method is to use this code. Paste it here. Comment it. So let's say we want to. My internet is bad. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can.
So let's make some changes to our text file. Let's add this line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. So we made changes. We made changes to our text file. We saved it. So let's do the same thing. If we open our code doc and then we print. Remember the method we are calling here is read.read. So let's print it. Let's see. Sorry. Let's call my manipulates. So what .read does is .read reads the entire file, right? It reads the entire file, right? It reads everything that's inside the file. Now there's another function called .readLine. .readLine without S. So let's try that one. So .readLine without S reads only one line. There's another function called .readLines. Let's call .readLines without looping. Let's see what it does. So it reads everything, but it reads it inside a single list. Can you see that what it returns is a list? So let's. Hello, can you see? Can you see?
Yeah. The type will be list.
So it returns. So let me check the type. So you see, the type is your list. So the read lines reads everything. It reads everything in the file, right? But what it actually does is it returns a list instead of the different file lines. Dot read line without S reads only the first line. So let's return the type. And what is returned is a string. Dot read alone reads everything. I'll put it the way it is. But then let's say we want to iterate over. So we use dot read lines. So we're now going to iterate since we now know that what we return is a list. So we're now going to do for lists in lines and red file, sorry. For each list inside there, we want to print so just run this. So you see, so it prints them and then it adds like a new line inside. Right. So let's check the type. So you see that the type is going to be a string. There's only one list that was passed. See, the type of each one is a string. But then look at what we did here. Is it there? So yeah, but this is like very busy. So what is returned is a list. It returns one list, and each of those lines are inside the list. So we can just iterate through and then get the item. So let's say we want to get the first. Oh, this is a string actually. This is a string. This is a string. Let me not complicate matters. Let me not do that out. So this is how you use dot read lines and dot read and dot read. So is it clear up to this point? Just play with this thing. See, I'm actually just playing with it. So I'm not really, you can see I'm not playing anything that is in the slides. I'm just playing with it, right? So as earlier stated, the open function takes a second argument that specifies the mode to open the file. So let's say we want to add an extra line. Let me comment all of this out. So let's see what we want to do here. So want to use want to open file another mode. Other modes. So we are saying we want to open in read mode, we want to open in write mode, we specify W, right? So the methods are now going to change. We're now going to say write. So what do we want to write to it? We want to write stuff in here, line 5. Then we need our context manager. Yeah.
You know, this write method, it will add that new line to the end of what we have before. So is it possible for us to decide where we want it to
overwrite it? The write method is going to overwrite everything. So then
Oh,
it passes.
okay.
So what will be here is
Oh, append is what to take it to the last line, not right. Okay. Okay.
overwritten everything. So if I run this code and I say print right file. So naming your variable should be intuitive. So let's now see. Let's run our code and see. Whoa. So this is the content of our code. So why is it giving me 59? I don't understand. Why do I have 59? So let me see. Right. Type of right file. Integer, okay. So what does it return? So it returns, I think it returns a count of all of this. Let me add one more character to increase the count. Okay, this is a new knowledge game. So what the right file object returns is the number of characters we wrote to the file, right? So that's what it returns, right? Okay, so that's cool. That's cool. So this is how you use the right method. So you use it, you pass what you want to write. So this is going to overwrite a file. So let's say I even deleted. Let's say we don't have cool doc. We don't have cool doc here. We don't have cool doc. And let me run the scripts. Automatically, cool doc is created, right? Can you now see cool doc? I have cool doc is created with the content inside of it. Is that clear?
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
All right. I like that understanding. So,
sorry, I didn't get that. I didn't get that. Yes.
What don't you get? Which one don't you get?
The last explanation you just made about cool doc.
So let's say I don't have cool doc. I don't even have a document called cool doc. I've deleted it. See, there's no cool doc here, right? Because I am writing to the file. Generally, if I just use open, it's going to open it, right? It's going to open it. But let's say okay, let me try something. Let's say I don't have cool doc, and then I'm using read. Then I'm doing cool doc. Let me just comment this line out. I'm saying cool doc dot read. Pass it very real. So, Open create a new variable for me. Let's see. So what does open say? Open says cooldoc.txt not found. Why? Because I'm using the read
mode.
The read mode. So what it does is it reads a file that is existing already. Right? But let's say I now use the write mode. I use the write mode. This guy. So I'm now using the write mode, and there's no cooldoc.txt anywhere. So because I'm using the write mode, if I run the script, it's going to create a cooldoc.txt for me, and it is going to write whatever I asked it to write into cooldoc.txt. Exactly. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
So play around with these things. Play around with these things. I feel like we are way behind time. I don't know why my class is out. I need to work on time. I just enjoy what I'm doing.
Fine, sorry, please. How do you normally do that thing? Can you go back to your VS Code where you will highlight everything, then put ash?
So
I've
just
tried
highlight everything, and then if you're using a Windows system, do Control// to comment
Control
everything or
/
comment everything. Yeah.
Thank you.
Please, where you have your question mark. Like a keyboard
Okay.
shortcut. I'm a big fan of keyboard shortcuts. I don't like that.
Thank you.
So how about appending to files? So let's say this one is right mode. Let's do append mode. This one I'm not getting questions or more. Are you sure I'm not teaching myself like this?
We are tired.
So I should stop. Okay, I'll stop. So you figured the other one's out now. Hello? I just 15 years.
Please go ahead. Stop it.
But the class is supposed to wrap up by 12, so I guess everyone is tired. I'm speaking for the whole class.
You people asking me 20 questions, and I have to explain. I can't be teaching people that don't understand. I can't. I don't mind. You need to understand. So that's why you're staying this long. But let me just wrap up, right? Let me just run through. We have the slides. You can play around with the code. There's nothing difficult there. So let's experiment the append mode. So we already have a file called cooldoc, and I've written everything. So let's now say want to append. So for the append mode, we also use the write, right? So using the write method and say, let's say I appended this line because I am so let's see. So cooldoc.txt supposed to append this to any line. So it's supposed to append this to try again. Right, not it's supposed to append this into a new line, but man, it's not appending it to a new line. It's adding it to the existing line. We already know the logic. That's how it works, right? So because this is an append mode, appends it, right? So
Going to a new.
hello, you said? Can you hear me?
I tried the append method. It didn't go to a new line, right in the same.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that, but it's supposed to go to a new line. It's supposed to go to a new line. So you can research on that later. Let's research on that later. So where do you look at CSV file? I told you that CSV files are comma separated values. So let's create a simple CSV file. This is manipulating files. Let's name this one manipulate CSV.batch. So let's first of all create our CSV file. Let's create a sample CSV. So our CSV will have name, department, and benchmark. So we have name, remember it's comma separated. So we have name, have department, normally your columns shouldn't column name should not have space. So let's create two people. So the first name is Miriam. Second name is department data science. The birth month is, I don't know, let me see, July.
December.
Sorry, I was
It's fine.
So, yeah, we have AB. Let's say AB.
Data science. Okay.
Software. Let's say her birth month is August. Let's say AB is weird. Let's say AB's birth month is February 20. Let's say this file. So go to manipulate CSV. So how do we do that? So we import the CSV module. So we import
CSV.
Import CSV, right? So this comes with all these packages. So now we need open. What do you want to open? We want to open sample CSV. Want to open it as sample CSV. What do we want to do with it? So we want to read the file and pass the delimiter. So we want to read the file. So we say file reader. File reader equals CSV.
Reader.
So pass the file sample CSV.
Comma.
Delimiter is
Comma.
Comma. Right? What's the next thing? So let's do for row file reader. For row is file reader. Print. Let's just print row directly. So let's run our file. What file are we running? We are running the file
Manipulate.
See? So it prints each row, or there it prints each row as a list. So if you're once as you advance your data science career, you realize that you actually need to know the type of whatever is being returned. So the type of whatever is being returned helps you to manipulate that return value to your choice of how you want it to look. Right. So here, each row is returned as a list. Right? Each row is so let's say we want to format it. So that's the formatting that was done here. So you can add a list to a string by following this convention. So you pass an empty string, this is the string dot join. So the string dot join method appends a list to a string and removes and it converts the list automatically to string. So let's do that. So you see, when I have something like this, what did I do? I created a string. This is a string. open bracket, close bracket, nothing is inside. It's a string, right? An empty string. Then I'm calling the string method dot join. Then I'm passing a list to it. Remember, what is returned in row is a list, right? So if I do that, this is what the output will be. But I don't like the spacing, so I want to add a comma. I want to add a comma to what is being returned. Even at that, I don't like the spacing. I want to add an extra space, 2 spaces. It now looks like a proper CSV file. Does this make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So this makes sense.
I want.
Yeah.
Inside that CSV reader, when you're calling the argument,
Hello.
you must.
Is it just my network?
No, it's a network.
It's my network. Sorry, I didn't get you. Please come again.
No, I said it's a network, not yours. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, we can hear you now.
For this, we always put that delimiter argument.
Okay, let's say we don't have the delimiter argument. I think there's a default delimiter. So let's check if it works. Oh, so the for loop needs to be inside. Okay, yeah, we're using with context manager. So one thing you should know is that the with context manager it closes the file after after working outside the block. The file is closing. So you see, we don't have the delimiter, but it is written it as CSV, right? So what you need to do, first thing you need to do, you need to look at your CSV file. What is the delimiter in your CSV file? The delimiter will be tab, semicolon. So you just if you know the delimiter, you just move over to your file and then you specify the delimiter there. Exactly. Exactly. How to check something.
It's clear. It's clear. Oh, go.
This 1 o'clock. This 3 hours straight class.
It's not easy.
So yeah. So how about writing to CSV? Okay, you guys should do this on your own. We are way behind time. We are way behind time. So practice this one, right? Because if I type all of these things out, man. To practice this is self-explanatory, right? But you can do this, right?
You can practice.
Yeah, you can practice on your own, right?
Yeah.
So practice it, and push it to GitHub. Push it to GitHub. You just name your file. Practice write CSV, write to CSV. Add it to your week 2 assignments. So let me just specify it here. To GitHub. All right.
Is it 1 week you give us to wrap up this? with 2 projects or 2 weeks.
What's there? If you read that book of Andy, you can
It's
do, you can do
almost
chapter
there.
3 and 4.
Ah.
What's there? Something that you can do really before 4 o'clock, you submit it.
Hey.
Am I lying? Am I lying? Abi, am I lying? Sure, you can submit before 4
Don't
o'clock.
ask Temitope if you're asking everybody. Temitope we're not on the same level.
Okay, Abi, am I lying? Am I?
Please, I'm still. I don't know anything. This Python something. If I show you my work here.
Abi, am I lying?
We are not saying you are lying, but it's too short.
No. I want to get okay. I want to get. Am I lying? Am I lying? You can before 4 o'clock, right? Chapter 3 and 4.
I will do it.
Some people to take Brita now.
So all of you are denying me. Wait, I don't understand. Maybe you can also be before. Okay, Eniola, you can also be before 4 o'clock, right?
This is past 1 actually. Eniola is not feeling fine.
So Eniola is not feeling fine. I want to you can also be before 4 o'clock, right? Okay. Okay, not answering you. Maybe you go, you're not answering me. I'm on my own. There's someone else.
We will do it. Don't worry. I will push it.
Denial. Voila. Yeah.
But
Shall do my assignment and submit. I'm going to be marking. I'm going to be marking. So push your chapter 3 and 4. You have until next week to do that. So yeah, so that should be also just practice with the JSON. The code is here already. Just implement it, then add it together with your scripts. Then push, right? Any questions? Do you have any questions?
My question is for Temitope. Please, how are we going to meet? I seriously need this thing. I'm as good as I've never been part of this program. That's the truth. I told you the other day that my GitHub is giving me issue. The virtual environment, the same thing. Everything, I'm stuck. I seriously need help. Like, I'm as good as I'm just watching, I'm just following. I'm not getting how to move around the environment. I don't know. I really need help.
Right. So Praise, how about you? What do you want to say?
Okay, Debbie, I think we are actually on the same page, Joe. But then I want to believe it's also time, because the truth of the matter is that this thing requires, like, it's very demanding. It requires a whole lot of time. And then in most cases, for me, when lectures is going on, I'm at work, class is going on, I'm at work, I'm not concentrating and all of that. But then I think I wasn't really following this class, but then I tried to follow the previous classes using the videos. That's while this class was going on. And then I was beginning to understand, like, some of the things that I was very much confused about. So I would advise actually that you calm down. Honestly, in fact, last week I was almost crying throughout the entire week because I was completely lost. I wasn't understanding what was happening. I was contemplating, is it to drop out of the thing or what? But then I got to realize that it actually needs a whole lot of time and dedication. So you have to really go the extra mile, get the videos, like, just take the steps. When you get stuck, you browse, go to Google and browse, come back and do it. I was stuck at some point using the previous videos a while ago, but then I pushed and continued, and then I got something and I was very happy and I was literally dancing. It's actually fun and it's nice, but we have to, honestly, it's fun and it's nice, honestly.
It's not even,
Then,
see, my issue is that it's not even about the tiny projects thing.
Hmm.
Initially, I was following the GitHub, and I was getting it. But at some point, I had to shut down because I had to go
The
to bed.
same thing,
So
the
the
same
following
thing
day,
here.
let me continue. I was getting error. So I said, okay, let me start afresh. I deleted everything, both on GitHub and everything. I started afresh, and it was as if, in fact, the first time was even better than the second time. So I said, okay, let me leave that one and go to virtual environment. I tried virtual environment. I'm still getting error. Okay, let me
I'm
go to
still on the virtual environment right now, and I'm still getting error. I
the
don't even know
invite
what
test
it
is
is.
not running, nothing. Like, I don't know.
It's
I think I should
Yeah,
just
and I think I agree with Praise. This thing takes a lot of time, like combining this class with your work. That's why I was making that sound when he said we should submit this chapter 3 and 4, because we are even yet to complete the chapter 1 and 2. And I mean, the day is almost over, and you still have to go through the slides for the classes that we had over the week itself.
Hello,
So I
you
would
want to sleep in the bosom of you want to sleep on the laps of Delilah.
What I'm just saying is that
Hello,
you should
guys.
be a little patient with us and really just give us time to really understand those different concepts.
We have 8 weeks. We have 8 weeks to cover the entire stuff we have for you, and that 8 weeks is not happening by an extra day. So I'm trying my best to even keep up with the Saturday lectures. So yes, like I said, you want to sleep in the. I know everybody's busy, right? I know everybody's busy. I understand, right? I don't want to start comparing how busy we are. But what I'm saying is, you're not doing something else. You're taking a new career path entirely. So you need to, like, your lifestyle needs to change. You must adjust. If you want to continue living with your previous schedule, with your previous lifestyle.
Me, I have adjusted.
I
have adjusted. I'm ready to make sacrifice, but things are not working for me. I just have to come out and say it. This thing, I need to share my screen, and somebody should tell me what I'm not getting right. It's not fair. It's not fair. Like, I'm not happy.
Let me talk about to the rescue. So where were you last week when people were sharing their screens? People were sharing their screens last week.
I didn't have my system with me that day, so there's no way. Then in between I had power supply issue, but now they have restored the lights and I'm still lost. I've been trying to catch up, but it's as good as I'm not even like everything I've attempted has not been going through for me. It's not fair. I'm not happy, seriously.
Let me stop by to the rescue. Come and rescue us, please.
So maybe when you guys will start working on that, you guys should use Deborah's laptop so that because I think she has the worst case scenario. So once you deal with her, I think every other person should be comfortable. But if you're trying to deal with her and then it's not going through, then you guys should reach out to me. And all these things should be done today, right? Because I expect all your assignments by tomorrow at most. I'm not giving any exceptions. Apart from this guy, I think there's a guy that said he doesn't have
Miriam is the exception.
So all right, thanks guys. Thanks. So thanks for having me. Have your session.
So please, Otemi, we are not saying anything.
4 o'clock, Abby.
I'm really keen on this.
I'm listening. I'm just like.
And you've not said anything.
The way you want to put a bit of, but it's good. Let's just agree on one time.
Eniola would have been
4 o'clock now, Abby.
She's
4 o'clock is cool.
She's not feeling so strong. Okay, so you drop the link on Slack.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Oh, now WhatsApp. Okay, the groups are different.
Yeah, please drop it on Slack.
I'll create a Google Meet. I'll drop it before that.
Thank you
so we can join. I just wanted you to learn so that I don't jump on your conversation like because the way you was clear about it, why you keep people here?
My assignment. Do my assignment.
Oh boy.
It's funny now. It's not be funny by tomorrow. You know, it's very, very happy.
If I as regards lifestyle change that you mentioned, I was just gisting my sister yesterday that I've been trying to do Fit Farm for a while, but by the time I finish this 210 training, in fact, all the weights will be gone because the way I've been studying.
It's
well.
Hey. So there'll be some trade-offs, right? There should be some trade-offs, but it shouldn't weigh you down too much. What I'm saying is most of you that are having issues, you didn't follow up from the start. If you notice, most of the people are having issues from the start. Is either they were not there or they didn't have their laptops, or something happened, you get. So like that's why it's more like you're so confused. So that's why you need to go back to the videos, watch the steps, because I believe that everything I did was from the scratch. You get. So watch your videos, communicate with your peers, and in 2 hours you should be up and running. You should be a Python programmer in the next 2 hours. So yeah, is that easy, Sha? I'm just motivating you. Don't kill yourself, Sha.
So guys, I'll drop the link. So that we can meet.
All right, thank you, people. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.
Yeah, bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.